How much of the Paldea Pokedex can you obtain by only surprise trading? All of it. But apparently someone already made this video, but he didn't really even get that close, so we're actually gonna do what our title says. Over the course of the last 5 months, I've been surprise trading on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with a single goal in mind: completing the Pokedex solely by surprise trading. When you surprise trade in Pokemon, you select a random Pokemon to be sent out into the world and receive a brand new Pokemon from a completely different trainer online. Now, when I say I traded for every Pokemon, I mean every Pokemon. If I get a Pikachu, great. I still have to separately acquire both a Pichu and a Raichu to complete that evolution line. And finally, because the legendaries are either surprise trade locked or only limited to 1 per game, I waited until the very end to accept those from a friend. So with all that being said, let's get into completing the entire Paldean Pokedex by only surprise trading. Day 1 of a brand new challenge always gives you a feeling of excitement, and this was a project I was really wanting to start. So my first day consisted of over 6 hours of trading. After picking my starter and making my way to Los Platos, I gained the ability to access the internet, and this is where my challenge truly begins. I grabbed the mystery gift Pikachu to trade away, but it's important to note that I made sure both Pikachu and Fuecoco were obtained through trading to make sure that those 2 entries were authentic. After booting up the internet, I started trading, and since there are 400 total Pokedex entries, I'm gonna try and get through them as fast as I can without needing to add any silly goofy Subway Surfers on top of this for you little 8 brains. My first 10 trades consisted of Bramblin, Diglett, Dreepy, Primeape, Psyduck, Nimble, Quaxly, Eevee, Venomoth, and Gimmighoul, which were all unique. And then somehow I managed to trade a Gimmighoul for another Gimmighoul. How does that happen? I only have 10 Pokemon, like total. Snom, Magnemite, Azurill, Fletchling, Varoom, Rellor, Flamigo, Kricketot, Igglybuff, Skwovet. I wasn't even half an hour in and I already have 20 Pokemon. After a couple more duplicates, I received Orthworm, Meowth, and my first Paradox of the entire challenge, Iron Moth. Seeing this behemoth made me all the more excited to keep going because Iron Moth is definitely one of my favorite Paradoxes, leaving our current day 1 total to 23. Fuecoco, Wiglet, Mudbray, Scatterbug, Pawmi, Tarantula, and Sprigatito marked 30 total Pokemon obtained, and all 3 of the first stage starters. But I soon learned that these 3 Pokemon, along with Eevee and 1 more, would prove to make this challenge really tedious. As this went on, I noticed that the majority of Pokemon that would be traded would either be level 1 Pokemon that were bred in hopes of being a shiny, or fully evolved Pokemon caught straight from the wild. While this was nice and provided me with both stages, there were a lot of Pokemon in those middle evolutions that would be a lot harder and more tedious to acquire. But then again, it's all a surprise anyway. I get Grafaiai, Hoppip, Growlithe, Larvitar, Dunsparce, Wingull, Wattrel, Mastiff, Rookidee, Starly, Ice-Q, and Choodle, bringing my first binging total of day 1 to 42 Pokemon. After a snack break, I got right back to it, receiving Tadbulb, Surskit, Veluza, Knackley, Pachirisu, Grimer, Tinkatink, Mimikyu, Capsakid, Larvesta, and Lechonk. I'm surprised it took this long to get the Fat Pig, since it was a hot commodity. Not only for the memes, but for easy Route 1 catches to utilize trading to begin with. I then traded the pig for another pig, Spoink, and followed it up with Flittle and our antagonist of the video, Charmander. For context, I started trading during the 7-star Charizard raids, and so people were trying to breed for shinies all over the place. But Charmander isn't even in the Paldean Pokedex, so every Charmander I received essentially acted as a waste of what could have been a new entry. And with every trade lasting around 45 seconds on average, this made things even slower. I got a middle evolution in Vigoroth, which was a nice addition, and followed it up with Wooper, Ralts, Rotom, Fido, Pawniard, Zangoose, and Shroodle. Thanks, Daddy. Completing our first evolution line and bringing our Pokedex total to 63. Axew, Cryogonal, Greedent, Tinkatuff, Stonejourner, Bagon, and an unexpected Slowbro give us a total of 70 Pokemon. If you think we're far into day 1 now, I got some news for you. We're not. Tandemaus, Bonsly, Slowpoke, Makuhita, Phalanx, Salandit, Mareep, Dugtrio, Venonat, Frostlass, Shroomish, Copperajah, Snover, Hippopotas, Weasel, Charcadet, Doxbun, and Gyarados wrap up my second round of trading just on day 1, bringing us to a total of 88 Pokemon. After a short break, we're right back to it, collecting Tropius, Deerling, Dedenne, Oranguru, Arrokuda, Florges, Applin, Rockruff, the Mouth Breather, Tauros, Snorunt, and Oinkologne, setting our total Pokedex count to 100. Only a few hours in and I'm already a quarter of the way done. I might get this finished before I expect. Staravia, Fomantis, Finizen, Frigibax, Jigglypuff, Marill, Noivern, holy shit, Hariyama, Fungus, all led up to receiving my second Paradox Pokemon, Iron Hands. Now, I don't know what it is about this Paradox, but it was by far the most common Paradox Pokemon I received in trades. Definitely one of my favorites though. Magikarp, Alomomola, Vampy, Quillfish, Scyther, Misdreavus, Shinx, Oricorio, Torkoal, Dudunsparce, Pinsirchin, Pawmo, Shuppet, Toxel, Riolu, Glimat, Spidops, Sinistea, Drowsy, Mankey, Skiploom were all acquired before my third Paradox of the day, Iron Bundle. This is one of my favorite Paradox Pokemon, and the fact that I got it on day one was really cool to see. Smoliv, Sunkern, Frostmoth, Bonesweet, Krogunk, Kilowattrel, Yungoos, Seviper, Haunter, who automatically evolved into Gengar, Cyclizar, Mousehold, Slackoth, Stunky, Glamora, Pyroar, Kirlia, Pichu, Clodsire, Kricketune, Carkol, Toxicroak, Pineco, Skrelp, and my first evolution, Glaceon. Heracross, Tatsugiri, Vivillon, Gible, Qfent, another evolution in Umbreon, and Espathra was next. Bro kinda looks like Lady Gaga. I'm glad someone agrees. Bergmite, Bronzong, Sandile, Houndour, Combee, Cloth, Rufflet, Greavard, Pikachu, Petalil, Raichu, an actual Gengar, Sableye, and our first fully evolved pseudo-legendary Garchomp. I also got Honchkrow, Azumarill, and Clauncher before getting my first shiny of the challenge, a hacked shiny Fuecoco. However, I was so invested in the show that I was watching at the time that I didn't even realize it was shiny until I watched it being traded away. Oh, what the fuck? So that was something. I wrapped up day one, that's right, we're still on there, by receiving Beartic, Weavile, Knacklestack, Klefki, Voltorb, Squawkabilly, Kamala, Sandygast, Girafarig, Hatterene, Ghastly, and Corvisquire, giving us a total of 192 total Pokemon, almost half the entire Pokédex in one day. I managed to complete 22 evolution lines to go along with 30 regular Pokemon with no evolutions, and here is my total Pokédex after day one. I traded for over 7 hours, and the results definitely show. While day one was a huge success, the inevitable was already taking its toll. The more Pokemon I obtain, the less likely I am to find a new one. I started day two grabbing Sliggoo, Lilligant, Wugtrio, Impidimp, Silicobra, Banette, Masquerain, and Revavroom to give us 200 total dex entries, half of the entire region's Pokemon. Bronzor, Citadel, Hatena, Abomasnow, Bisharp, Fracture, Ditto, Swablu, and Shelder bring us to a total of 209 before finding our second shiny and fourth Paradox Pokemon, Roaring Moon. Like the first one, this shiny was also hacked, and the common theme is that websites will name hacked shinies after their website URLs, so I will be blocking out their names to avoid giving them any unnecessary publicity. Luckily, I managed to get a second normal Roaring Moon on day 2 as well, so I didn't feel as bad about counting the shiny as a new entry in the dex. Gulpin followed, along with Slowking, Garganical, Dratini, Basculin, Houndoom, Skiddo, Noibat, and another shiny Paradox, Screamtail. I also didn't realize this was a shiny, but that was mostly due to the fact that I wasn't paying much attention, and Game Freak doesn't make good shinies anymore. I couldn't tell if it was hacked or not, but it's definitely a favorite of mine when it comes to Paradox Pokemon. We got Persian, Electric, and another Paradox in Brute Bonnet, totaling 6 Paradoxes in 2 days. We also received Gothita, Lowkicks, Steenie, Golduck, Barraskewda, and Roly-Poly before receiving a Charizard. Very nice. We finished off the day getting Bellibolt, Goomy, Floatzel, Litleo, and Toedscool, bringing our total in 2 days to 233 Pokemon. Being able to finish 18 more evolution lines on day 2 was super cool to see. We found 3 more Paradox Pokemon, and although they were hacked, seeing 2 shiny Paradoxes was also super cool. I traded for just over 3 hours, but getting another 41 in the day felt really good. Day 3. This is where things really start to slow down. I started the day getting a Jumpluff, Mudsdale, Lycanroc, Shelgon, Floette, Stantler, Toxapex, Dragonair, Luminion, Marini, Numel, Sylveon, Toedscruel, Breloom, Grumpig, Amoonguss, Talonflame, Gardevoir, and Murkrow, bringing my total to 252, just over 5/8 of the entire dex. Even with gaining just 19 more Pokemon today, I managed to complete 9 evolutions, and getting fully evolved Pokemon like Talonflame, Gardevoir, and another evolution in Sylveon were really helpful for my dex. I traded for 3.5 hours on day 3, so you can kind of begin to see my slow descent into madness. Day 4 was another decent one, as I received my first new entry pretty early on in Iron Treads. It's always so satisfying being able to receive a Pokemon as powerful as the Paradoxes, and I can safely say that this is one of my favorite Paradoxes of them all. Our haul for day 4 also consists of Passimian, Happiny, Fletchinder, Chansey, Corviknight, Gumshoos, another Paradox Iron Thorns, Gothorita, Flabebe, Dragonite, Sunflora, and Barboach, wrapping up at 265 total Pokemon. I also received a hacked shiny Charizard, so that's something. I traded for 3 hours and received 13 total dex entries. Now, it was around day 5 where I started shifting my gear from trading for a certain amount of time and rather trading until I received what I thought seemed good enough for a day's work. I obtained Gogoat, Indeedee, Lucario, Gallade, Swalot, Poltegeist, Gabite, Sawsbuck, Flareon, Teddiursa, Avalugg, and Lovedisc, as well as some pretty cool duplicates in Dragonite, Iron Treads, and a second Lucario. After trading for about 2.5 hours, I called it quits for the day at 277 total Pokemon. Day 6 was much in the same, but I was pretty busy that day, so I could only trade for around an hour and a little bit. But in that time, I managed to get Sudowoodo, a new Paradox Fluttermane, which might be my favorite Paradox of all of them, Dino, Crabominable, and Salazzle, along with a second Fluttermane to really seal that entry in. Our total after day 6 is now 282 Pokemon. After a full week, we finally made it to day 7. This was a pretty decent day for the amount we've acquired, as we received Cloyster, Serena, Pawmot, Salamence, Fortress, Drifloon, Lurantis, Tyranitar, another Paradox in Iron Jugulus. This one fucking sucks. Fuck you. Cacnea, Dreadnought, and Flaffy. I also managed to receive a hacked shiny Ditto, as well as another Noivern and Iron Thorns. And after 2 hours of trading, we ended our first week of this challenge, acquiring 294 total dex entries, only 6 shy of hitting 3/4 of the entire region's Pokedex. The 8th day was pretty relaxed for me, and I was able to trade for over 6 hours on and off. I got Medicham, Sneasel, Muck, Tinkaton, Cubchoo, Tynamo, our 5th evolution Espeon, Slacking, which actually has the same base stats as Pokemon like Groudon, Zacian, and Koraidon, believe it or not. And then I got a King Gambit, which was super sick to get, because King Gambit is notoriously tedious to evolve. Followed immediately by a Pawniard, which was something, and then somehow immediately followed by a Bisharp. How does that happen? What? We also received Metatite, Delibird, Ursaring, Shellos, Donphan, Spiritomb, Palosand, Arcanine, Hawlucha, Mabostiff, and ended off the day getting Roaring Moon's counterpart in Iron Valiant. This one's so cool, it might honestly be my favorite. We also received some crazy dupes such as Tyranitar, Iron Bundle, and a second King Gambit. 2 hacked shinies in Fido and Iron Thorns. I also managed to get a Johto Wooper, which you can only get through an in-game trade. In total, I collected 20 new entries, bringing our total up to 314, and over 75% through my entire challenge. Day 9. I traded for about 3.5 hours and received 10 new entries. Electros, Bombirdier, Scovillain, Vaporeon. Hey, did you know Zoroa, Electrode, Altaria, Cacturn, Zweilous, and Pupitar. I also got another Tyranitar, a Salamence, and another King Gambit, rounding our total entries to 324 Pokemon. 10 days in, already double digits. Houndstone, Camerupt, Finneon, Pelipper, Staraptor, Blissey, and Leafeon wrap up the new entries, bringing our total to 331 Pokemon. We also managed to get 3 evolution dupes and 2 more hacked shinies, Ditto and Roaring Moon. 11 days of trading. My homies gave to me Annihilate. Hello, monkey! Like King Gambit, Annihilate is really tedious to evolve, as you have to use its exclusive move Rage Fist 20 times in battle before leveling it up to evolve it. So getting one was something I was definitely concerned about. We also picked up Luxio, Miss Magius, and Whiscash, bringing our total to 335 Pokemon. The only other significant thing I found that day was a Fuecoco who was level 21. Whoever sent me this saw that Fuecoco was evolving and then said, yeah, I don't think you're gonna do that. Are you kidding me? Day 12, yippee! I actually managed to get both Dolive and Arboliva almost back to back, completing that evolution line. I also picked up Toxtricity, Satitan, Hippowdon, and our first evolved starter, Quaxwell. God, this thing is fucking ugly. After 3.5 hours, we tallied in at 341 entries. Day 13 wasn't incredibly eventful, but I only traded for about 70 minutes, so, you know. I managed to snag Vespiquen, Bruxish, Dragapult, and 2 of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Luxray. I fucking love you! I also received a hacked shiny Eevee, but at this point, I'm indifferent to the shinies, so I hardly even bothered to look at it. 2 weeks in, and I'm slowly losing my mind. After just under 3 hours, we finally managed to complete the Evolution Saga, obtaining Jolteon. We also got Goodra, Braviary, Glalie, another new Paradox, Slitherwing, and the final basic Pokemon of my entire series, Crabrawler. That's right, there are none left. This day marked the feat of obtaining 350 total Pokemon, leaving only 49 left to find. Days 15 and 16 were slow, but I managed to get 3 new entries, Volcarona, Gastrodon, and the final evolution to Fuecoco, Skeledirge. Like most other days though, there was plenty of power obtained through dupes. Day 17 was a better day than the last, obtaining 4 new entries in 3.5 hours. Flapple was a really tough one that I was super happy to mark off my list, as well as Spupa, Zoroark, and Scizor, another super rare trade, as it has to be traded as a Scyther holding a metal coat just to evolve, so getting a Scizor on its own was super lucky. I also received a shiny Annihilate, and while it was level 100, the stats and no item almost leads me to believe this is legitimate, but I'm gonna be skeptical and call it hacked anyway. Day 18 was another good day given how few we have left, obtaining 5 new entries in 3.5 hours. We started the day with Rabsca, which is another interesting evolution. Scarlet and Violet introduced a new method to evolve certain Pokemon, taking steps. Palmo, Rellor, and Bramblin are the only 3 this applies to, but in order to evolve these Pokemon, you have to throw them out and walk around in the overworld with them. After 1,000 in-game steps, you can level them up once to evolve them. That's not normally an issue for playthroughs, but for such a tedious task to evolve a Pokemon, it's rare to see those kinds of Pokemon being traded away, much less in Surprise Trade. While I already had Palmont from a while back and just got Rabsca, the Game Freak gods blessed me on this day as I obtained Bramblegast in the same day, finishing off all the walking evolutions just like that. Clawitzer, Magnezone, and our second to last Paradox, Sandy Shocks, were added to the decks. Oh, Silicobra. Okay. Can I get like an evolved ground type? You know, I'm kind of missing a lot of those. Gap. Okay, that's not what I meant! Day 19 yielded 3 new entries, obtaining another evolved starter in Floragato, a stone evolution in Wigglytuff, and Dracloak. We also received a hacked shiny Skeledirge, and I somehow managed to trade a Delibird for a metallic Delibird, so that was cool. 20 days into this challenge, and after dozens of hours, I'm getting so close. Although I traded for 3 hours, I only managed one thing. Heartbreak. I received my second Fuecoco that was over-leveled but not evolved. Stop doing this to me and give me a Crocalor already. Oh, it was that easy? Well, fuck. It was at this point 3 weeks in where I was finally starting to feel the full brunt of this challenge. Trading for hours and hours each day, slowly inching towards my goal felt like an eternity. Days 22 and 23 yielded me 1 result each, receiving Meowscarada, completing the Grass Starters line, and Haxorus. I also received a legit shiny Murkrow, and with seeing how Murkrow rose to fame in competitive Pokemon, it felt even crazier to see it in my possession. Believe it or not, day 24 may have been the coolest day I've encountered. While I only traded for an hour, I somehow managed to acquire not only Surledge, but an Armarouge too. Both evolution forms of Charcadet that would be extremely confusing to trade away, as both require you to obtain 10 material of either Bronzor or Sinistea, and trading said material for the respective armors just to evolve them. While day 25 wasn't anything crazy, only obtaining one entry in over 6 hours, I found some other cool things. Hatchrim was my new entry, but it was followed by another Armarouge, a Tadbulb named Sparky Sperm, Kamala Harris is in this game now, a Carbon Bomb, and Laura the Capsicum. Hi, Laura. I also received 4 hacked shinies, Slowbro, Garganical, Tinkatink, and another Armarouge. Days 26, 27, and 28 were all disappointing, as I didn't get anything other than dupes, but I got 4 Dragapults, a Goodra, Garchomp, and Roaring Moon, along with another shiny. Day 29 finally yielded a new entry as my 3-day drought came to an end. I picked up Morgrim, and shockingly found myself obtaining 2 shinies that I believe to be real. The first being Glamora, with no EV training and a bad nature, and later getting a blue Rockruff with nothing tampered with at all, at level 16. With all the hacked shinies you find, it is really refreshing when you find one that's actually legit. I hope the people I sent them to enjoyed them as much as I did. Day 30, an entire month devoted to trading. After 2 hours, I was able to snag a Sandaconda and a Drifblim, bringing our total to 375 Pokemon, leaving only 25 left. 31 was another decent day, as getting at least one was considered a good day at this point. We managed to get 2 new entries in Gothitelle and Farigiraf, upping our total to 377 Pokemon. 32 was a slow day, aside from receiving 3 shinies, Teddiursa, Toxtricity, and a new entry, Hydreigon. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I have reason to believe that all 3 of these were actually legit, and if that's the case, then this might be one of the greatest days of trading I will ever have in my life. On day 33, we managed to obtain Magneton, as well as getting a hacked shiny Froakie, and a Scyther who actually evolved into Scizor. Now, I know we're kind of flying through these days, but I want to reiterate the fact that the least amount of time I spent trading on any given day was no less than an hour or 2. Day 34, I managed to get another hacked shiny Froakie, as well as a legit shiny Mareep, and I finished the day with a new entry in Dragalge. Day 35 gave me another super interesting trade as I received a shiny Colossal, which looked to be legit, but I'm not entirely sure. Day 36 gave me 2 hacked shinies, Rellor and Greninja, as well as the final paradox of the series, Great Tusk. This one definitely has an amazing design, might be a favorite. Day 37 filled Ampharos's entry, and I got a hacked shiny Quaxly. As you can probably tell, I'm getting a little sick of naming all the Pokemon, but what are you gonna do? Days 38 and 39 yielded me another 2 Armarouge, along with a hacked shiny Umbreon and a Crocodile, giving us 1 more for the Dex. 40 and 41 gave similar results, and as you could probably tell, the more Pokemon I get, the less I pay attention and ultimately care about looking out for them. At this point, the trading became an afterthought, and after receiving pseudos or paradoxes, I didn't even care because it wasn't new. But I managed to find 2 hacked shinies, Brute Bonnet and Froakie, along with a King Gambit, another Armarouge, and a new entry in Krokorok. At this point, 15 Pokemon remained, and while 6 of those were legendaries, I also had to worry about Goldango. Goldango is a Pokemon that I knew would easily be the hardest one to obtain, and here's why. You remember Gimmighoul, the Pokemon that I got in the first 10 trades on day 1? Well, in order to evolve Gimmighoul into Goldango, you're required to obtain 1,000 Gimmighoul coins that are scattered throughout the map. This is by far one of, if not the hardest evolution in Pokemon's history, and so finding a Goldango just by wonder trading is the equivalent of trying to win the lottery blindfolded. Days 42 through 50 were tough, as I was only able to obtain 4 Pokemon in that entire span, being Skuntank, Hypno, Baxcalibur, and Appleton. I also surprisingly found no shinies in that span either. Day 51, I got lucky and managed to find Grimmsnarl, and with that, we were only 10 Pokemon away from finally doing the impossible. 52 and 53, I didn't find anything other than a shiny Ditto, but day 54 yielded me Archie the Arctobax, bringing my total outside of legendaries to only 3 Pokemon left. 54, 55, and 56, I got nothing but a shiny Fluttermane, which I think was actually legit, and then day 57 came around. Now, the 3 non-legendaries I have left are the all-elusive Goldengo, the final starter in Quaquaval, which is honestly one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, and Palafin. Palafin is a very interesting evolution, as you can only evolve it after reaching level 39 or higher in an online union circle. Now, this doesn't seem too challenging, but for the vast majority of players, it would be really weird to trade away a Pokemon that requires such a specific method of evolving. I logged on and traded like it was any other day, but unbeknownst to me, this session would be a breakthrough because only 20 minutes in, this happened. Oh my god, that's a Palafin. We only need 2 more. I managed to receive my Palafin, making my total entries needed from surprise trading 2. Overzealous, I decided to keep going as the day was still fresh. I traded for over 6 hours and then lightning struck twice. Oh my god, that's a Quaquaval. Holy shit. I received 2 of the last 3 Pokemon I needed in a single day. Quaquaval was mine, leaving nothing but 6 legendary Pokemon and Goldengo. At this point, part of me wanted to end it here. I knew the journey could take weeks, months, and I had already clocked in over 100 hours just into this save, but I couldn't quit now. I was this close. Days went by as 50 days turned to 60, turned to 70, and then 80 until it finally happened. No fucking way. No fucking way. We just got Goldengo. Holy shit. What the fuck? Ooh. After going almost a full month without anything but dupes and disappointment, I was finally rewarded for my patience, persistence, and above all else, stupidity. Almost 3 full months of trading for hours a day finally came to an end as I hit the jackpot, leaving nothing but 6 legendaries. I called up my friend Jordan, logging the entries for all but Miraidon, and after linking with another friend for the last trade, it was finally over. 400 Pokedex entries, over 220 hours, and over 18,000 trades brings us to where we are today. And now we get to play the game.